Chris the Nightmare Ariola, and you're watching Mission Boxing Today on YouTube.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? So it looks like my man Shannon Briggs is just going to go his separate ways, man. He's going to just forget about the whole David Haye situation. Looks like David Haye is not going to do the honorable thing, and that's fight Shannon Briggs, being that he's the one to say, hey, man, all you got to do is fight on my Arnold Jerick undercard, win, pass a brain scan, and I'll fight you. Those were his words. I'm not making it up. Shannon Briggs did what he had to do as far as traveling over to the UK, invading the Haye versus Jerick press conference, doing what he had to do to get himself in a position to speak to David Haye in front of, the whole press conference. You know what I mean? So he agreed to it. The Briggs went on to fight, I believe, Zarate, and he knocked him out in the first round. Nothing memorable. But David Haye's fight against Jerick wasn't anything memorable either. To tell you the truth, man, besides that fight against Chisora about 4 years ago, the Demore fight and the Jerick fight were not memorable fights. Hell, I think a 44-year-old Shannon Briggs can beat both of those dudes also, So, and people are telling me that Haye right now is going through a divorce with his wife, and I understand that, real life things outside of the sport, things outside the ring. So I understand that. But with that said, though, David Haye came out and said his next fight announcement is going to excite the boxing fans. So, I mean, you still got to make a dollar. You still got to work. You still got work to do. You know what I mean? So I understand the divorce situation, but you did say you would fight Shannon Briggs. But, let me go ahead and read what Briggs took to social media, and this what he had to say. He says, I just got great news from Chris Lawrence, the Heavyweight Fight Factory CEO. I'll be fighting in December. The show must go on. I scared the shit out of David Feathers, a.k.a. David Haye. So now I have to go to another route. What's his excuse? You ain't ready. I pulled your hair. I cyber bullied you. Your toe hurting again. I'm dying to see the pie they dig up for your next pie fight, stated Briggs. All right. And I can understand his frustration, man, especially when the two fighters had a near confrontation last month when Briggs attempted to approach Haye at the Barclays Centers in New York, in Brooklyn, New York, Briggs' hometown. Both fighters were in the building, sitting ringside for the Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton. I've heard people say that Haye had like security detail that was blocking Shannon Briggs away from Haye. Haye was walking through the crowd. I know you guys have seen that footage, him calling him out, hey David, hey, let's go, champ. Haye trying to pretend like he doesn't see him. So I don't know, man. Kind of disappointed in David Haye, but David Haye's in a better situation than my man Shannon Briggs. Now, no disrespect to Shannon Briggs. 10 years ago, he beat Sergey Liakhovich for that WBO strap. Up until the point that Deontay Wilder won the title from Stavern, he was our last American heavyweight title holder. So, and I respect, Briggs from back in the day, although I thought George Foreman beat him. He had a tough fight with Lennox. I like Shannon Briggs, man. I really do. But it just seems as if David Haye is doing this because he's in a better situation. And what I mean by that is a little younger than my man Shannon Briggs. I think Haye is 35, 36, 35 years old, I think. And I think Briggs is like 44. So he's younger. He's in the UK, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. If Huey Fury beats Andrew Ruiz, you got Dillian White out there. His name is buzzing out there, and even if he came here, a lot of fans, in my opinion, will rather, I'll say the majority of fans will say they would rather see Deontay Wilder versus David Haye than Deontay Wilder versus Shannon Briggs. Just based on the fact if you have Haye on your resume right now, I think that will look a lot better. I won't say a lot better, but it'll look better because he's only 35. He has a lot of fight left in him, in my opinion, at least a few good years left in him. In the top 10 in the division, where Shannon Briggs isn't a top 10 heavyweight right now. He's a top 10 marketing. He can market himself, and, he did his thing back, closer to his prime, but the guy is 44 years old. And nothing against Shannon Briggs. I like him, man. But like I said, Haye's in a different situation, a better situation. You look at the WBC rankings, David Haye is rated number 6. You look at the WBA rankings, David Haye is rated number 5. Shannon Briggs is number 6. But I did hear the WBA say that they're going to reinstate Lucas Brown back into the top 5. So I'm curious to see where Haye will end up. The IBF rankings, David Haye is rated number 3. The WBO rankings, David Haye is rated number 4. So he has 4 different sanctioning bodies where he can maneuver and, try to get some type of eliminator type of bout for one of these titles, man. So I'm not sure what he's going to do. I believe he will fight a ranked opponent by one of these sanctioning bodies. So you may see him in there with some guys that you say you never heard of, but I've heard of the guys because I cover all these dudes. But you may see him in there with Michelle Wallace, who's rated number 6 by the WBO. You may see him in there with a Carlos Takam, who's rated number 6 by the IBF, or, just somebody of that nature, man. Brian Jennings would be a good fight. He's rated number 8 by the WBC. So I'm not sure what David Haye is going to do, but Shannon Briggs will be back in December. He made it clear it will not be against David Haye. You guys let me know what you think about this in the comment section, man. Who do you want to see Shannon Briggs fight? Now, Briggs, he did call the guys that Haye fought, call them pies, but what Briggs can't do is go into December and these, his next upcoming fights, fighting quote unquote, pies. I mean? He has to get in there with the Arthur Spilka, or is he willing to get in there with the Gerald Washington or a Trevor Bryan, probably one of these Heyman fighters or something like. He has to show and prove too right now, man. Antonio Tarver is looking for a dance partner. I've been talking about that fight for the last few months. Tarver and Shannon Briggs should just fight each other since they claim that these UK guys don't want to fight them. We know that Tarver had his, is having his issues with Dillian White, and then Shannon Briggs with David Haye. So I don't know, man. I guess we'll see what Briggs is going to do next. Maybe a Travis Kaufman type of opponent, or somebody like that, man. Andre Fedosov. I mean, you guys let me know what you think. Who do you think that Shannon Briggs will fight next in December? What do you think about David Haye not, standing up to his word and fighting Shannon Briggs after he said at the press conference that, hey, man, you fight on my undercard and win and pass a brain scan, I'll fight you. How do you feel about him not following through with his word? Let me know what you think, man. I'm out.